Theodore Levitt is credited for being the father of modern marketing. He wrote a Harvard Business School article in the 1960s that is actually, I'm still surprised today how little of that knowledge is still leveraged. He went on to say, every major industry was once a growth industry. Every major industry was once a growth industry, but it slows down. So what happens? In every case, their growth stopped because of the way they defined their industry. They didn't look at their business the right way. Payments itself feels like an industry that stopped growing. 3% year-over-year growth is pretty much inflation. And so it looks like it stopped growing. But when you pull it apart, we're going through one of the most transformational moments or windows in payments history. In fact, cash is on its way to dying. In 2013, it made up almost 80% of global spend. But you can clearly see both cards and all of these new wallets, led by the Chinese wallets, are eating into payments in a pretty significant way. We used to wonder whether this will happen or how fast it will happen. By 2025, cash will make up less than 20% of all payments. And cards and wallets will actually be equal. In fact, if you look at what's happening in China, wallets have already won. In the span of time, 5,000 years of recorded history, payments has only changed 3 times. From coin to paper, from paper to plastic, and now we're going through this transition to digital. So not a lot of change. It's one of the hardest things to change, but each change had something in common. It was always driven by new technology being used in commerce, creating friction because the pace of commerce goes faster, and that same technology also gets used to recreate the way we pay. For coins, it was casting, iron casting technology. For paper, it was the printing press. For cards, it wasn't actually plastic, even though we call it plastic. Plastic didn't necessarily make the difference. It was electronic payments. In fact, cards actually didn't start threatening cash until it went to electronic. Using data, wherever you gather it, to create a much better experience as a retailer. And that becomes the new driver of retail. Anyone who's really good at crunching data to help the merchant do a better job at selling to the consumer wins. And so that will transform the acquiring business as we know it. You know, we've already thought there was some transformation there, which is the yellow sliver on the left. You know, for a long time we had acquirers to large merchants direct, acquirers going to SMBs, ISOs came in and ate some of that market share, and then you had these ISVs coming in and aggressively taking market share, mostly online, but limited by online. So the biggest PayFacs are the ones that started online: PayPal, Stripe, Square, Adyen, although Square is a little bit offline. But I did some research last night. These numbers are changing fast. We're at about $600 billion now of PayFac volume, mostly led by the bigger guys. The crazy thing is, 5 years ago, that was less than 100 billion. And in the next 3 years, that'll be about $1.5 trillion and accelerating in the US. So $7.5 trillion of credit card volume today. It's not too far out where 50+% of it becomes led by software players, and payments being already inside the software. And if you think about it, that's how it actually should work. You don't buy the house and then put in the plumbing. You expect the plumbing to be there. And payments has become plumbing. You can't actually deliver a commerce experience, a great commerce experience, without payments already paving the way. And paving the way here doesn't mean they just exist, but the more invisible payments are, the better the experience. Think about it. The best payment experience you've ever experienced is Uber, the one that doesn't exist. And that's the one that most consumers want. It'll change a little bit depending on how much you spend. But when you want to just walk out, you should be able to.